In this video, we're looking at UFC 293. I'm going to give you my final picks. We're going to look at things from a Draftkings perspective, and I have some free money for you, so make sure you watch until the end. As always, you can call me Kunith. Let's make some money this week. If you haven't already, go back and watch the predictions video from earlier in the week. That's going to be linked in the description. That's a full card breakdown. In this video, we're going to be looking at DraftKings strategy and what you need to do to be successful in your contests. And if you're looking to get a competitive edge, you can visit kunithmma.com, get yourself a membership, because let me tell you, the DFS strategy guide has been money. I know for a lot of you good brothers out there, this is a special time of the year. The holidays are on their way. Football is starting right after a massive pay-per-view. What more could you ask for? I'll tell you what you can ask for. Value plays at 8,000 and below that you're going to need in your lineups to make things work salary wise. I got you. The first value play comes at 7,600. That's Gabriel Fly Miranda. I do think that if he wins, it's inside the distance, it's inside the first round, and it's on the ground, so he's going to get a takedown. Like we talked about in the predictions video earlier in the week, I cannot trust Shane Jung. The guy's not won a round in over 4.5 years, and that's not something that I'm going to put my hard-earned on. If this fight wasn't where it was, I think that Gabriel Miranda would probably be closer to even money as opposed to an underdog this week. I think that he gets it done. And again, if it's in the first round, that's 90 points. If he's getting a takedown, that's another 5 points. Even if he doesn't get an early finish, I think that he's still live to win this fight inside the distance in the second or third round, because Shane Jung is not the most dangerous of guys. At least he hasn't shown that in the UFC. Now, like a lot of the UFC cards lately, and you see this a lot with the pay-per-views, this is favorite heavy. Not a lot of dogs are going to hit for you. So I do expect a lot of people to get to Gabriel Miranda this week, but I do think that he's worth value play consideration because of that upside. There are worst ways to spend $7,600 salary. Give me Fly this week to get it done by submission. Great value. Our next value play is right at 7,500. That's Chepe Mariscal, and this is not here because I think he's going to win. He is here because you guys are telling me up and down that Chepe is going to get it done. Chepe this, Chepe that. Let me explain something. I feel a lot of the public is overvaluing a win over Trevor Peek and undervaluing a tight win against Jamal Emmers. Mariscal showed you a lot of good things last time out. Toughness, cardio, ability to get a takedown in spots where he really needed one. But half of that is good Chepe, the other half is terrible Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek is already one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. I will say that. He could be on every fight night card and I'll be happy with it. But I have to call spade a spade. Trevor Peek is not that good. Trevor Peek has a lot of power. Trevor Peek is explosive. That's about it. His footwork's not good. He's not putting strikes together very well. He's not defending takedowns, nor is he making good decisions on the ground, and his cardio's not great either. But I do think that we're overvaluing a win over Trevor Peek. I think that Jack Jenkins packs up Trevor Peek, and I think that Jack Jenkins probably beats Chepe Mariscal as well, because he's going to land the leg kicks, he'll have the crowd on his side, and he's going to win a close decision. What's more is I don't see Mariscal being able to get this fight to the ground, and if he can't get takedowns consistently, I think he loses minutes. I think he loses the fight. I had to talk about him here because I heard so much about him from you guys and everybody else during the week. I'm not with it. Now, this next value play is Tuivasa. I absolutely would love to see him in my lineup this week at 7,400. Let me explain why. If you just look at the fights that he's had in the UFC that he's winning, the worst score that he's put up is 65 points against Andrei Arlovski in a decision win. Apart from that, we're looking at scores of 111, 106. I'll scroll up here. You've got 118, 131, 105, 99, 96. There's a very good chance that Tuivasa with a first round knockout is the best point per dollar play on the slate this week. You can see that he's scored a knockdown in 6 of his last 7 fights, even against Cyril Gane, who's one of the best fighters in the division. And don't sleep on those bam bam leg kicks. He's going to be throwing those out there, giving Volkov something to think about. While Volkov's thinking low, Tuivasa goes high. I like Bam Bam to win by knockout at 7,400. It's a smash. Now, our next value play is John Makdessi. I don't think that John Makdessi is going to win. I have a bet on Jamie Mullarkey if you look at the PRP on kunithmma.com this week. But you did hear me mention on the predictions video that I think the sharper play is John Makdessi, because this fight is probably going to play out on the feet and he might be the better striker. Now, if you look at the scores that John Makdessi has put up, he's not really putting up a whole lot. You see these high scores of 108, 133, but these are outliers. He's really floating in that 70 to 80 point range at best. But this is one of those weeks where the favorites look really good, and we talked about this on the website last week. I said the stack that you weren't thinking about is Angelusa, Reese McKee. It showed up on the optimal lineup. By the way, who's doing it? I say that to say this. If 10 favorites win this week and John Makdessi is one of the 2 underdogs that wins, he's going to show up on the optimal lineup even with a score score of 75 points. If you're playing larger field stuff, or you're not afraid to roll the dice in even a smaller field like a single entry 3 max kind of contest, John Makdessi might be the sharper side of that matchup, and he will be low owned. I promise you that. People are not laying anything down on the bull this week. And the last value play has to be Blood Diamond. I think if he wins, it's inside the distance. I expect a decent amount of people to get here at 7,100, but at the same time, the recency bias may keep his ownership in check. In most contests, especially beginner contests, people will look at this price tag of 7,100 and just write the person off. Oh, they're not going to win, they're cheap. So if those reasons are keeping Blood Diamond's ownership in check, we're in a good spot, because I do think that he wins this fight. I think he has the better stand-up, better body work, better cardio, and better preparation in this matchup. I think that Blood Diamond with the short trip ends up pulling off the upset here, getting his first UFC win. Great value down at this price because it probably comes in the first or second round. And we'll use these value plays to build our lineups. We'll start with cash game lineups, but before we do, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm. You know how the algorithm works, and if you want to go a step further, share this with somebody you know is going to be watching the fights this week. All free ways to support the channel. We love it. Now, when we're building our cash game lineups this week, this is a great fight in the main event to stack with Israel Adesanya and Strickland. We're going to punt one of these guys down here. Let's punt Blood Diamond for the sake of this lineup, and based on the remaining salary and where I want to get to, I think we'll need another underdog here. I'm going to plug in Gabriel Miranda. That gives me 95.50 left over per fighter. I absolutely want Manel Kape in my lineup, and I would want to get Nasrat Haqparast as well. If you wanted to take out Nasrat Haqparast and you wanted to put Carlos Ulberg in there, I'm cool with that as well. You could take out Gabriel Miranda, and then you can get up here to somebody like Anton Turkalj, who I think is going to win. This is cool with me. You've got your main event stack, so you've got a guaranteed winner there. You know Manel Kape's going to get it done for you. You know Carlos Ulberg's going to get it done for you. You're hoping Blood Diamond comes through, but really you just need one of these guys, Blood Diamond and Anton Turkalj, to rise to the occasion. I like both of these guys to get it done, and we only need to be right about one of them with this build right here. So play your cash games, people, and that's your 50-50s, your double ups, your head-to-heads. Look at DFS as a whole. NFL DFS is better than any other sport. There are a lot of advantages NFL DFS has over MMA DFS, but I will tell you now, MMA DFS cash games are the best out there. They are the simplest way for you to consistently double your money, and I say this all the time, and some of you take the message and I end up getting comments, I get DMs, I get messages on the website that say, thank you, here's my cash game lineup, I doubled my money this week. It happens all the time, and a lot of it doesn't even have to do with the analysis or the picks. It's just simple strategy. We stack the main event if it's a main event that probably goes beyond 2 or 3 rounds. You punt one of the lower priced guys who you don't think is going to get finished. You start with those 3, you build out the rest, and you try to get at least 4 winners in your lineup. Getting 4 winners is a lot easier than getting 6 winners, and I'm telling you now, many people that you're playing against in your cash games don't understand this. If you do play cash games, what I encourage you to do is just look at the person at the bottom of your contest. Look at that handful of people. Look at that range. You'll notice these people have no idea how to build a cash game lineup. It's a different strategy, and you can take advantage of the people that don't understand and double your money. I'm telling you now, it's not something that needs to be slept on. The rant is over, but take the message, and if you don't understand it, go back and listen again. And now we can get into building your tournament lineups, and I want to tell you something early on. I'm going to give you one of the jewels that you need this week to be successful. This man right here is absolutely going to win. I think that he wins by knockout sometime after the second round. We've said this about Israel Adesanya on the channel before. I don't think we said it last time out against Alex Pedro. We did pick him to win in that fight, and you needed him that week, but we've said this in the past, and a lot of new people have come in the last couple of months, so let me explain. What we have said is that you cannot roster Israel Adesanya. This week he is 9,700. He does not break 100 Draftkings points all that often. If you are somebody who has consistently rostered Israel Adesanya, you've been losing money playing DFS. Against Alex Pereira at 8,600, he loses, okay. 9,400 against Jared Cannonier, 86 points. He's not optimal that night. 9,200 against Bobby Knuckles, he scores 75 points. He doesn't get there for you. The same thing against Marvin Vettori, 9,300, 85 points. Jan Blachowicz, he was 9,200, he loses, he's 35 points. The knockout win over Paulo Costa, you needed him that night. That's cool. 49 points against Yoel Romero. No. There are people who lose 3-round fights that score more than 49 points. Against Robert Whittaker, cool. Against Kelvin Gastelum, cool. Anderson Silva, 3-round decision, 56 points. 5-round decision against Brad Tavares, 82 points. He scored 55 in a decision win against Marvin Vettori in their first meeting. What I'm telling you is this. Israel Adesanya is going to come in as the favorite every time. You have never had to pay this much for him, and he has almost never gotten you what you need to be on the optimal lineup. You do not roster him this this week. And to take it a step further, when you're building your tournament lineups, you do not roster Strickland this week because he's going to lose. That makes things really easy for us when we're building our lineups. Not easy to pick the winners, but easy to build the lineups because instead of looking at 12 fights and 24 fighters, we're going to look at 11 fights and 22 fighters. Another tip I'll throw out there to make things a little bit easier for us is Nasrat Haqparast. I'm probably not going to pay $9,500 for him either. 78 points in a decision win, 70 points, 72 points. He's got 88 points. 100 points might not get you here at $9,500 with all the other finishes that you'll see on this card. 80 points in a decision win against Mark Diakese. So you're looking at this and you realize the top two guys when it comes to your tournaments, not cash games, they're cool for cash, but when it comes to your tournaments, you don't play either of them. I think the most expensive fighter that you can roster this week is Manel Kape at $9,300. Manel Kape likely gets it done inside the distance. He scored 108, 131, 72 last time out, which isn't great, but his average in fights that he's winning in the UFC is pretty damn good. So let's say we did plug Manel Kape in there. Let's say we went with Carlos Ulberg because Carlos Ulberg is somebody who's scoring you 105 points pretty consistently. 7,800 left over. Let's go down there to Blood Diamond. Let's grab Tuivasa. This is our value plays. These are our value plays, I should say. 8,200 for Anton Turkalj. We've got 8,800 left over. Let's just go with Jack Jenkins. You've left 100 salary on the table. You haven't rostered the main event. I think this is different enough, and I don't mind this lineup at all. Now, to blow it up and give you another look, let's say we attacked that mid-range a little bit more instead of these premium guys at the top. Let's say we went with Justin Tafa as our most expensive play. We come down here to Anton Turkalj, so our average remaining salary doesn't change. He's 8,200. We still have 8,200 left over per fighter. Kevin Joussette's going to come in at pretty low ownership, and he's somebody worth putting in your lineup this week, taking a shot at the 8,400 slight favorite. Just over 8,100 left to spend per fighter. So I'll tell you this, if we do plug in some of our value plays from earlier, like Miranda, let's say we went with John McDessie, we have 9,500 left over. I can get right back up to Manel Kape. So we go against what we're saying with Justin Tafa being the most expensive play, but frankly, it's going to be difficult for you to make a lineup that you feel good about that's not going to have either Manel Kape or Carlos Ulberg. Another thing you could do is attack some of these big boys, attack the higher weight classes and do something a little bit against the grain. So let's say you went with Carlos Ulberg, let's say you went with Justin Tafa, let's say you went with Alexander Volkov. We've got a light heavyweight bout down here. I'm going with Anton Turkalj. If Tyson Pedro beats me, he beats me. But I don't believe in Tyson Pedro. That's just it. So I've got 7,400 left over per fighter. We've attacked some of the bigger fights on the card in terms of weight, but now we've got 7,400 left over. So let's say we went with John McDessie. Let's say we went with Blood Diamond. I'm cool with this. 400 salary left over. Fine by me. If you're building multiple lineups and you want to just pluck Justin Tafa out of there, you come back in here, put in Manel Kape. You can play with this a little bit. It's an interesting fight card because you have favorites that are probably going to dominate. Then you have guys that are unplayable based on their price. And I would not be shocked if out of the 12 underdogs that are on this card, we see 1 to 3 win this week. I think if you want to get different, you could try to stick to that mid-range. If you leave salary on the table, especially this week, you're getting super different. And avoiding that main event's going to be massive for you. I will die on this hill that Israel Adesanya wins, defends his title. He does a TikTok dance, maybe hump Sean Strickland. I don't know. But what he won't do is be on the optimal lineup this week. You can mark my words. And if that's not the case, if he goes out there and puts up 115 DraftKings points, come back to the comments, smack me around a little bit. I'll deserve it at that point, but it ain't going to happen. We'll wrap up by looking at Underdog Fantasy. This is the free money I promised you in the beginning of the video. You have a free square this week with Trevor Lawrence. They're running a special. He just needs to get you a yard. And for those of you that are interested in football, I will tell you right now, if you can find a futures bet for Trevor Lawrence to win NFL MVP, go ahead and place it and then just cash at me at the end of the season. You can lock it in now. But you plug Trevor Lawrence in as a free square. He's basically the first leg of what you can have up to 5 legs in your parlay. And I would say put 5 legs out there. You're getting one for free. So what we'll do is we'll plug in the best bets of the week. This is your can't miss slip of the week. Manel Kape over 1 knockout. Yes, sir. I guess it's over half a knockout. You can't have more than 1 knockout in a fight. Manel Kape wins by knockout. Carlos Ulberg knockout. Yes, give me some of that. Nasrat Haqparast over 75.5 significant strikes. I'll take some of that. And we need uno mas. And I think the best place that we're probably going to land would be Jack Jenkins over 58.5 significant strikes. You can lock that in for $10. All 5 legs hit. That gives you 20x on your money, which would be a $200 payout on your $10 wager. And that could be a free $10 for you because Underdog Fantasy is going to match your first deposit up to $100. So you want to put 10 in there, you want to put 20 in there, you want to put 30 in there. You're going to start with double the cha-ching in your account. Take advantage of the free money. Water's not even free at most places nowadays. So just keep that in mind. You can get that at Underdog Fantasy. The link to that deposit match will be in the description, or you can use promo code Kunith. If you've made it to this this point in the video. I really appreciate it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment something for the algorithm, check out KunithMMA.com, and I wish you the absolute best of luck.